Walking a path along the roots of Pikes Peak, you take a fork in the road to the Anselm Society Digital Pub. Inside is a raucous conversation on the arts, faith, and what are your top 5? At a corner table by the fire are 3 people. One of them is saying no, just your top 5. Your top 5. And that's me, Matthew Mellema, and welcome to Believe to See, a podcast of the Anselm Society Arts Guild. Here at Believe to See, we explore the relationship between faith, art, and storytelling. Our goal is to help you connect the great story, the great stories, and our own stories in order to understand what it means to live with a Christian imagination. And listeners, we know each other pretty well by now, so I can just go ahead and tell you, I'm stealing this idea from another podcast. I was listening to a podcast on the Ringer sort of podcast conglomeration, and one of them was describing one of his first days at work, where Chris Ryan, this podcaster, was doing a get-to-know-you question. So Chris Ryan's get-to-know-you question for this podcaster is, what are your top 5? My top 5 what? Just your top 5. What are your top 5? So what I take that to mean is, what are your 5 interests, hobbies, fandoms, passions, the 5 things that you like that most define you, that make you you as opposed to some other person out in the world. So I thought we could do that here with, I'll do kind thoughts to Chris Ryan. For Anselm, what are the Anselm Society's top 5? And I want to keep this as open as possible to try to, if we can, between me and the other co-hosts here, get a definitive list of the Anselm Society's top 5. Oh, in case y'all are wondering what my top 5 are, well, that's actually very simple. It is Anglo-Catholicism, the Loch Ness Monster, John Elway, Diddy Kong Racing, and the Norwegian Puffin Dog. All right. So now that that's all set, let's bring in our co-hosts. Christina Brown, welcome to the table.
Thank you, Matthew. I love your curveballs. They're so fantastic.
Okay. I think this is a little unfair because I sent you an email yesterday saying top 5. Yes, I implied they're all people.
You did imply very strongly.
But I gave you a solid 2 minutes before we recorded, before letting you know it doesn't have to be people. It could be top 5 anything.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
2 minutes, all right.
120 seconds, and you can think about it right now.
Also, I will say hello to all my listeners, but I did want to give you props and tell you that I had a very hard time not laughing out loud as you were giving the audience your top 5.
Thank you.
It was great.
Thank you very much.
It was really good. You're welcome.
Thank you.
It needs a whole podcast of its own to unpack.
Ooh, it's
I
not
don't
a
even
bad
know
idea.
what Diddy Kong, whatever you said, is.
It's very important to get to know me as a person.
I thought I knew you.
Yeah. Diddy Kong Racing. Anyway.
Oops, I started talking before you mentioned me.
It's okay. It's okay. Mandy Hauk.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
What are your top 5?
Winston is all top 5 of the 5.
That's true. Winston, the official mascot of our podcast. He is sitting on his pillow right now, little Shih Tzu.
Yeah.
All grumpy, but that's okay. Like a lovable curmudgeon dog. All right, so.
Wasn't he named after Winston Churchill or not?
Winston from 1984?
Oh, okay.
No, Winston for New Girl. No, I'm kidding.
I would believe you.
He was just named Winston because it's a cute name.
It is cute. Well, I was going to say, if it was Winston Churchill, though, Winston Churchill was supposedly sort of grumpy and curmudgeonly at times.
Yes, I do call him sir quite often.
Yeah, and anyway. I was going to say, just living up to your name. It's a good thing.
I had this great idea for a while for a product where it was a dog bone in the shape of a giant cigar. So your dog would chew on it. It looks like they have a giant cigar. But I think they already made them.
They already made those, I'm pretty sure.
Proof of concept. Anyway, so let's go through the top 5 again.
Yes.
Again, very few rules, which is unlike me, because usually I like rules. But here, the top 5 things about the Anselm Society. So what are the 5, just blank, whatever, 5 whatevers, widgets, that Anselm Society loves, is passionate about, cares about, that define what makes Anselm Anselm.
So quintessential.
Yes.
Yeah, you need to say what defines
So these
Anselm.
can be people, living or dead, real or fictional. They can be a poem, a movie, a book, anything. It can be Winston. It's probably not Winston, but it could
probably
be.
Not.
So, Christina, I think the first step here is trying to define what we're talking about when we talk about Anselm.
Yes.
So, you are the head of the Arts Guild. Your husband is the director of the Arts Guild. So, I think you can tell us what is the Anselm Society?
Cool. I just love how you throw things at me. It's the best. It's the best. I say I hold my own pretty well.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I think so.
Thank you, Mandy.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Matt's snickering, but that's okay.
I'm ready.
That's all right. All right, well, at the Anselm Society, our mission is a renaissance of the Christian imagination. We actually exist to help Christians remember who they are and to cultivate a deep awareness of their relationship to the great story, bringing that awareness home to their families and churches. So, what does the life of our organization look like? Evenings filled with stories and songs and feastings. Homes and churches laboring to be marked by meaning. Podcasts and workshops delving into the wonders of creation and the calling of subcreation. And maybe, just maybe, children who grew up around a community of parents who think this is all normal behavior. Do you like how well I just speak?
Just from the
That was
top
just
of your
off
head,
the top
of my
contemporaneously.
head. So
Yeah.
extemporaneous.
Yep.
Yeah.
Y'all, if you want to find that at AnselmSociety.com, there you go. It's about Anselm Society on the Anselm Society homepage.
And so that is
There you go.
that is the formal definition. But of course, we all have our own personal experiences of Anselm, so those can inform our picks as well.
Yeah.
So my goal is we each take turns throwing out possible top fives, right?
Okay.
So let's throw them out, explain why they are there, and then hopefully we can start separating the wheat from the chaff. So we have the 5 final ones. So we'll have one, and then listeners, if we skip some or miss out on one of your favorites, obviously that's going to be the case. Why not let us know? Shoot us an email, maybe in the form of a 5-star review. You can let us know which ones we missed out on.
In the form of a 5-star.
Yes.
All right, Matthew, I do have to go first, since you already told me that I had some leverage with being, the wife of the director of the Anselm Society.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
so I feel like I should go first. Thank you.
First lady.
Yeah. I love that term. Someone said that, called me the first lady a long time ago, and I was like, I really like that. Anyway, so I would have to say Anselm has a top 5, but the organization is named after a person.
Right.
Saint Anselm. I
Yes.
feel like he has to be one of the top 5.
I completely agree. I will say
Okay. All
I
right.
put together a first run through, and I put together several names. As who else?
Yeah.
Probably Anselm.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And for those of you who don't know who he is, first of all, our website has great information. Second of all, he was an archbishop, and he's Italian, or was Italian. He lived from, I think, 1066 to 1100, I think, BC? AC? Oh my goodness. AD?
AC or DC? Yeah.
Right? I know, right? Oh my goodness. He coined the phrase, wait, what is it? Faith seeking understanding, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah, okay. I just lost that one there. But anyway, yeah, so the idea that we kind of built around him was that phrase, the idea that having faith seeking understanding, what does that mean? How do we embody our faith with imagination and understanding
Yes.
God that way? So yeah, I feel like he has to be there.
I absolutely agree that he is definitely going to be in strong consideration here. Sorry, St. Anselm, that I'm not guaranteeing you a spot in the top 5, but there's some stiff competition here. But yeah, like you said, Christina, Archbishop of Canterbury, which for me and you as Anglicans is especially important historically. And one of the things that I appreciate about Anselm is for him, he did not live in a world where the head and the heart are going on separate tracks, right?
Yes.
For him, the head and the heart were always united, they're intertwined, they're one thing. So, he would do, his apologetics wasn't just reasoned, it was also through the eyes of the heart. Beauty and logic go together. And I think properly done, any of us as artists should be working from that understanding, or all of us as theologians or just Christians. We should have that same attitude. So yes, absolutely, Saint Anselm. He is our patron saint, but also the first in consideration for our top 5. Okay, so that was a good first one. Mandy, who is your first
Or what?
who or what is your first?
There you go.
Well, I think Leaf by Niggle, the short story by Tolkien. Because Tolkien himself could be a top 5, but in particular, Leaf by Niggle, which I think is his only allegory, and he wouldn't even call it an allegory because he was anti-allegory. But
It's one of the many things he was grumpy about.
yes, we should have named Winston Tolkien. That would have been funny. Anyway, yeah. So I read a quote by him. He was talking about subcreation, which we talk a lot about in Anselm, and he said, in reference to the story Leaf by Niggle. The whole concept was that subcreation, quote, might come to be taken up into creation. And so sort of this Leaf by Niggle just sort of personifies the idea that what we are making here and whatever we are subcreating, because as image bearers of God, is or can be eternal. It's not for nothing. It's temporal in some ways, but when it's done for the glory of God, there's an eternal aspect to our act of creation and imagination and art making.
Yeah, I think that is a really great, that is going to be a strong contender for me, Leaf by Niggle. I know that at our conference a couple years ago, one of the centerpieces for it at the Imagination Redeemed conference was a retelling, a sort of story of Leaf by Niggle. And it really did a great job of encapsulating that event, but also what we want the group to be as a whole. Because like you said, it shows, it isn't, sorry, J.R. Tolkien, like he's like going to haunt me or something. He's like just waiting over the corner.
Yeah.
But it is a good allegory for the life of a Christian artist in showing the transcendent value of art beyond just like what we see in the temporal world, but like the eternal value of doing these artistic labors. So
yeah, and also just the journey, because of course it's, like Dante's trilogy, it follows that same model, and I think we as artists can really relate to Niggle and his frustrations and this grand plan of this beautiful painting
that
then
never comes to fruition.
Right. At least not the way that he envisions it. But God is doing more than we can see.
And another thing too is like not this side of the veil. And I love about that because it is in completion in all its glory that he couldn't even have imagined. But he does not get to see that until, and I love that too.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So yes, that is absolutely on my list. I'm underlining it on my list. So that, I think, is a great candidate, but while we're on the topic of Tolkien, we could consider Tolkien himself or other works going on the lists too, so I think we should consider those. Seems like kind of a cop-out to do all of Lord of the Rings on it, right? But then again, I mean, we've had some Tolkien nights at the Anselm Society, and those Tolkien trivia, my goodness, Anselm folks, I consider myself a Tolkien nerd. But when trivia came up, you all blew me away.
I'm actually a bigger Lewis nerd than a Tolkien nerd, and I would say the Chronicles.
Well, we're getting there, Mandy.
Would outrank.
So you okay? So the only other candidate I would think of, if we're not going to do all of Lord of the Rings, is what about a specific character from Lord of the Rings?
Oh,
I would like to propose Tom Bombadil.
Or Goldberry, yeah.
Maybe them together, the Goldberry Bombadil house.
Right, because Goldberry is huge on hospitality, and obviously that's one of Anselm's key.
Yeah, the feasting.
Yeah, just the feasting and the intellectual hospitality too.
Right,
yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yes, feasting, hospitality, for the Goldberry sighting. You see that with Tom Bombadil too. You also see Tom Bombadil with his songs, his guardianship of the old forest. It is just sort of attitude that just the essence of Tom Bombadil. I feel like if we wanted to, the spirit of Anselm, if we were to encapsulate it in a literary character, it's hard to do better than Tom Bombadil. Any other Tolkien characters you want to throw out there?
I mean, Aragorn's pretty fabulous, very human, but noble. But he's more of like someone we aspire to.
How about Sam?
Oh, I love Sam.
Sam is wonderful as well.
Sam is like the best friend.
Cultivating the garden.
Yes.
He has an appreciation for the arts, poetry. He might not be the best at composing them, but he appreciates them.
He stewards them.
Yes.
He's the patron.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say Aragorn fosters and cultivates, fosters and curates, like he wants to offer to his people, and Sam is the steward. He's the one who's creating and coming up with that.
All right. Any other Tolkien candidates?
And sorry, that's in the finished narrative of Middle Earth after Aragorn is king and after everyone's happy ever after. So,
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert! Okay. Well, anyway,
All right. So any other Tolkien candidates before we move on?
there are a lot, and there are a number from the Silmarillion probably, but not well enough that I would know them.
Soon.
True. All right. So now let's go to Lewis. Okay. So C.S. Lewis, obviously, he's going to be one of the first people we think of for Anselm. So again, we could just put C.S. Lewis, the dude, in the top 5.
Putting Tolkien and Lewis are definitely, as much as they feel cop-outs, they were on my list just because we've done so many events that centered around some of their works. I mean, the Narnian Christmas party, for example.
Yeah.
Lots of tradition. So I think it would be hard not to include them, but I do love your twist where we either take one of their works or their characters.
Yes,
So is there a work or character that we could choose from?
Obviously, an obvious one. I love Lucy Pevensey.
That's what I was going to say.
Is it?
Lucy.
Yeah. She's the only one who has the heart and the wonder to see through the wardrobe.
She's the one seeking, believing. There's a trusting.
Wonderment.
She's following Aslan. It doesn't have to, I don't know. She's willing to set aside the things of this world to pursue something greater.
And to keep going when no one believes her too.
Right.
Persisting.
Okay.
Oh, he's thinking.
I'm thinking. I have my thinking look.
Thinking look.
Okay, so I do think that Lucy is a good candidate. Are there other good candidates from the Narnia Chronicles?
Well, but the professor himself.
That's a good one.
I love him.
That's a good one.
A really good one.
Okay.
Who is
No spoilers. No, I'm just kidding.
Diggory himself.
I know.
Okay, that's a really good one. The professor. I was thinking also Reepicheep.
Yeah, the heroism.
Slightly obvious, but it's more.
He's like the Aragorn.
I was gonna say. So he's.
Reepicheep and Aragorn are.
That's kind of why. Yeah. There's a nobility of character and a forthrightness, and about them both.
Okay, now we could also look beyond the Narniad.
Yep.
So I super duper love the space trilogy, especially Out of the Silent Planet and Paralandra.
Yeah.
Could one of those be more Anselmy? Thinking, scanning.
Well, I mean, I prefer Out of the Silent Planet to Paralandra, so how about that?
I do too. Oh yeah, we talked about this, right? Because like
I still like Paralandra.
The correct answer for Lewis nerds is that Paralandra is better. But
wait a minute! Till We Have Faces.
I literally had that same thought.
Till We Have Faces is the Anselmiest of Anselm.
Yeah, that's gonna. Okay, so
I think Andrew Lazo was probably listening to this podcast, being like, "Finally,
I think Andrew Lazo should be on our list."
I will say, Till We Have Faces is my favorite thing that Lewis wrote.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
It's very good. Very good.
But
although I love Screwtape Letters, but there's no characters there that we can say.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to come down. We'll have to revisit Lewis because obviously he needs a representative. Is it going to be
Till We Have Faces his favorite thing he wrote?
I think when asked what his favorite works are that he wrote, he said Till We Have Faces and Paralandra.
I was going to say, I think he said, yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be very tough between Till We Have Faces, Lucy Pevensey, and the Professor. But I think the correct answer is one of those 3.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's good for Lewis. Any other Lewis candidates we want to throw out there? Okay. Well, the next one that I have written down is G.K. Chesterton.
I have him written down as well.
All right. And again, I would be fine just with Chesterton himself out there, but I do think there are a couple specific works we could have. For him, I do think some specific essays could be good. So like Orthodoxy is kind of a collection of essays, which I think does a pretty good job. Also, I will suggest The Man Who Is Thursday, which is a very, very fantastic, really weird sort of novella that is sort of an allegory of the universe in 1930s London. It's very weird and sort of dreamlike and nightmarish, but I love it. And he also has a poem that I will look up for you and read to you while you all are discussing other things G.K. Chesterton could have at the for the top 5.
All right. Well, I know G.K. Chesterton is his quote is on the website about imagination, and that's one of the ones we used a lot.
Yes. Do you have that quote pulled up or?
I read it earlier today. I could see if I could find it.
Yeah. Well, now you're both good.
Well, now,
That's
Christina,
true.
while you're finding the quotation, I will read this poem that I think very well encapsulates Anselm.
Okay.
It is called Modern Elfland.
I haven't heard this. I'm excited.
I cut a staff in a churchyard copse. I clad myself in ragged things. I set a feather in my cap that fell out of an angel's wings. I filled my wallet with white stones. I took 3 foxgloves in my hand. Oops. Ooh, I just really loudly drank some water. Let me try that again. Let me start that stanza over. I filled my wallet with white stones. I took 3 foxgloves in my hand. I slung my shoes across my back, and so I went to fairyland. But lo, within that ancient place, science had reared her iron crown, and the great cloud of steam went up that telleth where she takes a town. But cowled with smoke and starred with lamps, that strange land's light was still its own, the word that which the woods and hills spoke in the iron and the stone. Not nature's hand had ever curved that mute unearthly porter's spine. Like sleeping dragons' sudden eyes, the signals leered along the line. The chimneys thronging crooked or straight were fingers signaling the sky. The dog that strayed across the street seemed four-legged by monstrosity. In vain, I cried, thought you to touch the new time's desecrating hand. Through all the noises of a town, I hear the heart of fairyland. I read the name above a door, then through my spirit pealed and passed. This is the town of thine own home, and thou hast looked on it at last. I love that poem because the author starts off, the narrator, he's getting ready for fairyland with all these traditional things, a feather in his cap from an angel's wing, all this stuff. Then he's like, oh crap, I'm in the modern world. Science has ruined everything. But then he learns to see fairyland even in the modern things, and finding that in his home, he's actually found what he was looking for all along, which I think is a perfect attitude for all of us to strive for in the Anselm Society.
Yeah, I love that.
All right, do you have
It's the re-enchantment of the imagination.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Powerful.
All right.
I do. I have the quote. It's
yay.
right here. The function of imagination is not to make strange things settled, so much as to make settled things strange. Not so much to make wonders facts, as to make facts wonders.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
There he is. Good old GK.
Good
I
old
think we
GK.
need top 10. I don't think we're going to be able
It's
to.
going to be tough. We're going to have to make some brutal cuts, Mandy.
Okay.
Okay, so that's Chesterton. Our options for it. So I think, oh man, it's going to be tough. I'm already just thinking about what I'm going to cut there.
Yeah.
Okay, so Christina, what is your next one?
Yeah, well, I have, I'm actually thinking, going fictional character again here, sorry, I feel like I had a bug in my foot. That's very distracting. Sorry, choking on water, bugs on feet. We're very
yeah.
distractible
Oh, man,
tonight,
yeah.
aren't
We're
we?
real. We're just real.
We're just real. Yeah, Heather Longtreader from the
Oh, well, there we go.
The S.D. Smith Green Ember City or
I
series.
have not read those yet, and I know I should.
Oh, you're gonna love 'em.
Sorry, SD might even be listening.
That's okay.
Great
You're
friend
gonna
of the
love him.
podcast, SD
I know.
Smith.
I know. I'm sorry.
That's okay. But the reason I picked her, I think you're gonna love him. The reason I picked her is because she is someone who, throughout not to give like spoilers, but throughout the course of the books, she is someone who finds her place as a storyteller, someone who tells stories and keeps them, for ages to come. So she tells stories of heroic deeds and of trials and pains and terrors, and she sings them and she tells them and she writes them, and she's also a healer. So anyway, so she's a healer and she heals through her stories and also through just like her work as a nurse.
That's a good one.
But
That's
anyway,
a very good one.
she's just so perfect in the Green Ember, the idea of the restored wood. What is the term?
mended wood.
Mended wood, thank you. So the idea of like going towards mending by remembering who we are, telling ourselves a story of who we are and how we were redeemed and how we were, meant for mending. So
That is
she's
an excellent one. I think that is clearly the choice of the Green Ember characters.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah,
Well,
she's a strong one for me.
This
Also,
is
it
in
helps
my-
that she's a rabbit. So if we really want to have some interesting top fives here,
They are in my to-read pile, which is about to rival the height of the Tower of Babel.
that's all right. So is mine.
All right, Mandy.
Well, I'm going to go a little sideways here. Because when you were talking about, when you asked us top five, my initial go-tos, I realized were all writers. And then I realized maybe that's because I'm a writer. And so I'm just going for writers. So I was trying to think of other, visual arts, musicians, all the arts. And I would like to propose Isaac Watts.
Okay.
Because Isaac Watts, I don't know if you know, but the reason he started writing hymns is because when he was a teenager, I think he was like 15 years old, he was being a 15-year-old and whining to his father about how just vapid and boring the hymns were that they were singing. And his father said, fine, write your own. And so he did. And he wrote a hymn, I believe, for every psalm. And for him, it's really a marriage of truth. He valued truth and understanding equally with beauty. And also just the reason that a hymn writer was specifically important to me, because I also thought of Bach and Handel, but specifically a hymn writer, they're writing hymns for the whole body to participate in together. And so it's not art to look at or listen to, but it's art to participate in, and it's formational, if you think about it. Like, really, that's what hymns are for, and that's why the lyrics in hymns, or even modern day worship songs, as we call them, they ought to be formational and as true as they are beautiful. And so that's my
Ooh, I love that.
that's my Isaac Watts pitch.
When did he live?
And darn it.
I know, it's okay. I'm
Just
guessing.
a second.
I
looked up
like
like
1800s?
I think it's the 1800s.
Yeah, I think that's my guess.
Well, guys, we're doing this in a world where Wikipedia exists. 1674 to 1748.
Look how
Okay.
wrong I was.
We were both
everybody.
wrong, and I'm the one who brought him up.
Where was he? English? England?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool.
All right, guys. Both of you all saying yours made me think of others that we really need to discuss as well.
Okay.
So going by sort of contemporary Anselm mainstays, obviously we have the Green Embers on the list. The other obvious contender is the Wingfeather Saga by friend of the podcast, Andrew Peterson. So
I had Andrew Peterson on here, just him.
Oh, well, there we go.
Nice.
Well, let's have it out
Also,
then.
love his daughter's music, if you haven't listened.
Sky Peterson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we could just have the dude, Andrew Peterson, on. because we do have his music and his books, both his essay collections and his fiction. Well, maybe we could just put the whole dude in. But
then we'd have to do that for Tolkien
that's
and Lewis,
true.
too.
The precedent.
So,
Yeah.
that's the tough
So
part.
my candidates from the Wingfeather saga would be Lily or Podo. Lily is the girl who's also like the musician, but I feel like that is too close to Heather Longtreader.
That's true.
So I think we need to go with Podo. I think Podo is a good choice, the grandfather of the children here. So he is
The ex-pirate.
He is a gardener, he protects the children, and he tells wild stories about his former life as a pirate. So I think those are all, well, maybe not the piracy, all of the rest of them are very Anselmy.
Hey.
And his role as the grandfather, bringing up the next generations, I think is also very Anselmy.
Yes. Redeemed.
So there's all of the Andrew Peterson cluster.
Yes.
So also, you mentioned him, Mandy. We can't not talk about Bach.
Oh, I know.
In a world where Terry Moon is one of our most valued Arts Guild members.
Absolutely.
She will come after us if we don't at least seriously consider Bach.
With her violin bow.
Exactly. She'll just shoot it at us
He's
like
down
it's...
there.
Okay.
I wasn't
Violin
done.
bow is a saber.
There,
Yeah.
listeners, please listen to the entire episode me and Terry recorded about Bach.
Yes.
All right.
Very, very good.
So, anything else you want to say about Bach or Andrew Peterson before we move on to my next one?
No, I just think they're strong contenders, and if you don't know much about Bach or even Handel's work, I mean, Handel's
yes.
Messiah, I mean, you had
That's
mentioned
true.
him
And
too,
Elijah.
Mandy.
We did Handel's Elijah in college.
Gorgeous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
So if you don't
that's a
know
good
much of
one.
their music, go look it up, because
That's
we'll
a
also
good
go look
one.
up their own personal faith, because they had some serious trials, and they had some really, really powerful responses.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So.
All right, next one on my list. This one's going to be pretty hard to beat, guys.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Come on. Friggin' Dante.
Yes.
We need
Yeah,
the divine... How can the
yeah,
Divine Comedy
true.
not be a serious contender?
I know, it's true.
It's one of the
true.
greatest literary works ever produced by the human mind.
Yes.
Christina, you're looking at me with this dubious look. Are you coming at Dante right now?
No, I'm not. I'm actually thinking about him in the same breath as John Milton in Paradise Lost, thinking like, well, if we were to allow Dante, would I be allowed Milton?
I'm going to say,
But there's-
give me Dante over Milton.
Well,
I don't
yes.
care. I don't care, all you Milton heads out there. Come after me.
Milton has his flaws, but he also has some pretty significant pieces of his works, particularly Paradise Lost.
Right.
And
I will say, I mean, we have to, Dante throwing his enemies in hell was a little...
I mean, come on.
Is that Anselmy? I don't know.
Well, he did it in a beautiful way.
He did. He absolutely did. It's true.
I hate you
You
poetically.
should write your own version, Mandy, where all the jerks on Twitter, they're all at a different level of hell.
Hey, I deleted Twitter, so I don't even need it anymore.
Twitter is in hell.
Yeah.
Did you like my line though? I said, I hate you. Pause. Poetically.
That is good.
But
Thank
more
you for
seriously-
reminding us. I missed it.
The Divine Comedy is
Yeah, agreed.
maybe one of the most perfect examples of the heart and the head intertwined into something very beautiful.
Yeah.
Because it is beautiful theology, it's beautiful poetry,
Yep.
it is just beautiful. It is a work that was very much centered in his own time and place. You see a lot of the effects of the political machinations of Northern Italy in his time, but there's also a lot of universal value to it that we can still read and get value of it today. So
And the whole theme of seeking and like pursuit of Beatrice and the love, I don't know, just the human emotion that is in it, even with the divine inspiration.
I felt that. I got that.
Thank you. But I didn't really do that on purpose. I just couldn't think of another word other than divine.
But
know
yeah,
about
I think it's definitely going to be a strong contender, and it's going to feel really weird if we have to cut it out.
There's a lot that at this point it'll feel weird to cut it out.
Really? I think we
but
need
I
top
consider
10,
Dante
guys.
as well. So
Okay,
yeah.
so I'm going to get to a couple of my most serious contenders. Again, later on in this, when we try to do the deep cuts, this is going to be the one I'm going to fight strongest for.
Okay, go for it. Let's hear
Susanna
it.
Clark.
I know he does.
You all know Susanna Clark is,
Yes,
she's my
her
writer,
legacy,
my
yes.
contemporary writer.
And she is
That's
living.
true.
Yes.
So
But is it her
Jonathan
work or her
Strange.
herself?
Well, she has 2 novels, and they're 2 of my favorite novels ever. I think Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell really deserves consideration here.
I need to read that one. I haven't read that one yet.
Maybe my favorite book in the world. I love it.
Even more than Piranesi? Oh,
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
I think so. I love Piranesi. I just love Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell.
That's depressing.
See, Emmy's read both, and she prefers Piranesi. But
I understand that.
I need to read both
Again,
and decide.
It's
Yeah, Brian's reading Jonathan Strange, Mr. Norrell.
but
Hasn't finished it.
Well, it's
Longer.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
about
yes.
the theme writ large across all the 1,000 pages of re-enchantment. Literally, that's what it's all about.
Oh,
It's
see,
waking
did
up
not
and
know that.
learning that the world is still enchanted.
There you go.
And the ending of the book is absolutely gorgeous. I love it. But I do think if we're looking at strictly Anselmy stuff, it's hard to say. Like, Piranesi seems locked right into the bullseye, right? The themes that we've discussed, I mean, we had a whole episode on Piranesi and all of its
Right. I
Anselmy
mean, Mr.
themes.
Tumnus is in Piranesi.
Right.
So how do you... Can't ignore that.
I think Piranesi is going to be a very, very strong contender here. Either of you care to add anything about how amazing Piranesi is?
Oh my.
I think the 3 of us discussed that on that podcast.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, like we could do another whole podcast on it. It's just so good. So,
Yeah.
no, I refer you to the podcast where the 3 of us talked Piranesi.
Yeah.
And
That-
read it yourself.
Not until you've read
and-
it, though, because spoilers.
That's
Yes.
true. We decided we had to do some spoilers for the sake of how beautiful the book
Yes.
was.
I know,
So-
but that was after we warned them like 3 or 4
But that's what I'm
times.
saying, yes.
Yeah,
so you're correct.
Just
Go.
read
Yeah.
it. Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell is gigantic. Piranesi is a very slim volume. Take a couple
Bethany
hours
read
to
it-
read.
Very
Bethany
readable.
read it in one night shift.
Yeah,
It was a
exactly.
quiet night shift.
You're like,
All
I
the
know.
babies were sleeping. Bethany, yeah, she
Yeah.
did. But she also reads fast. But.
Yeah, I don't.
All right, Christina, what's your next candidate?
Yeah, well, I had, well, you know, I really have to say that this was definitely when we were considering Anselm top 5 as people.
Okay.
So there's definitely some leeway here. However, I would be remiss if I did not, and yes, I do believe this, I'm not just saying this because he's my husband, but if I did not nominate Brian as an Anselm top 5 contender.
Well, I mean, it did arise out of his heart
It
and
did.
mind.
It really
so.
did. And
I mean,
so,
Dante Alighieri, J.R.
Brian
Tolkien,
Brown.
Brian Brown,
you know,
Yeah.
Anselm of Canterbury. I mean, there we go. There we
you
go.
know, it's true. It's true. So I say that, you know, half self-deprecatingly, but also seriously. You know, I
Yeah.
really do. I mean, Anselm would not be in existence without Brian.
Literally.
And obviously, as his wife, I've seen the tireless sacrifice and visionary and just hard work, sweat, and tears and love that he's just poured into this to make it what it is. And it's because he believes in all the things these people we are talking about have believed in, that he wants Anselm, as Anselm Society is today, to exist. So I really do have to put in a strong nomination for my husband, director and
agree.
founder of the Anselm
I
Society.
need to see how Matthew handles this.
I agree.
down to-
Brian Brown.
When we go down to the 5. Or,
Oh man, what if Christina has to make the cuts? Like, sorry, honey. It was either you or Leaf by Nigel, and hope you understand.
yeah.
He would. That's
He
why
would.
he's so awesome.
Exactly. If I believed if reincarnation were real, you could convince me that Brian was Anselm.
All right, Mandy, your next one.
Rembrandt was one of the people that and I just want to take this moment to make you all exceeding jealous that
Ooh.
I got to stand in Rembrandt's actual home.
I am jealous.
Peter and I got to tour it pre-COVID, 2019. It was our last trip before COVID. We went to Amsterdam and went into his house, and I thought my brain was going to explode.
I bet.
And my heart. But anyway, so Rembrandt, now interestingly, I wrote him down just as when I also thought it was 5 people.
Right.
But if we're doing 5 things, then I specifically want to say his painting of the prodigal son.
Oh,
Because
that's a good one.
That's a good
I don't
one.
know how many people have really looked at that painting and really studied that painting, because it's so much more. There's so much symbolism in there. Like, I don't know if one of the hands is of the Father is masculine and one is feminine.
Oh, wow.
Even he does that on purpose because of those natures of God. And
So cool.
so to me, the prodigal son as a painting is just the quintessential piece of art that points to the beauty of God, the mystery of God, the wisdom, mercy, justice, like, and just the care and attention that Rembrandt put into that painting, and how it's just endured and
That's really cool.
is very Anselm-y.
When did he live? Do you?
In the 1600s. I looked
1600s,
it up
okay.
before. I thought I knew
yeah.
that, but then I was like, if I'm going to say Rembrandt.
Right.
Gonna ask.
Yeah, like Renaissance type.
Yes.
Yeah. Did he? So was it? I don't know much about his personal faith. Actually, I was kind of always wondering, was he really like a strong believer? Like a strong believer? That's such a 21st century.
I mean, I didn't know him personally,
Was he
but
born again?
I didn't know him
historically understood to have been, yes.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
And it's similar to Bach and Handel, and yes.
Well, that's really cool. Do you know the funny story? And I don't even know if this is podcast appropriate, but maybe not.
Oh my.
So one of our beloved artists passed, Chris Jaker, visual artist. She donated a book of Rembrandt's sketches to me at one point because I just love Rembrandt. She's like, I have duplicates of these books. I'm going to give them away. Who wants them? I was like, I do. Anyway, so I was dutifully flipping through and admiring all of Rembrandt's sketchings. And I come across one that made me do a double take, and then I can't stop thinking about it as one of his like iconic works, which is of a monk having fun with a lady in the reeds.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And so every time I think Rembrandt, I think that moment, that painting. So yes, I don't know, but it was definitely very entertaining.
So let's just
What does that have
focus
to
on
do
the
with?
painting.
You're saying this makes him more Anselm?
I'm just saying, I always wondered about Rembrandt.
All right then.
I was like, what
painted
is
reality,
Well,
and
exactly.
reality is not always beautiful.
It is not.
Well, speaking
But
of
anyway, it was just
But
sorry.
his story, but I mean, honestly, that points to like in the same vein as his painting, The Prodigal Son. His paintings are much more than just. He's a storyteller with his paintings. So there's story and beauty and truth and humor.
The humor, I think that's what it was. It was very humorous. Yeah. So, but anyway, I just, after seeing that, I was like, I think I would have enjoyed this person. I want to know Rembrandt.
Yes.
Who was this gentleman who could make
He was
fun?
actually an art collector and art dealer also.
No way.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. I need to know this guy better. And travel back in time.
So while we are on the topic of painters, again, our dearly departed Marcus Robinson, who's departed off to Portland.
Does he listen to these and crack up that you say that?
I hope so.
He better.
Yeah.
Everybody send the link. We should all just send him the link all at the
That's
same
right.
time.
We
Just
should.
be like-
He would want
Sorry,
us
Marcus, we're
to. He
bombarding
would want
you.
us to talk about Van Gogh right now.
I have him
obviously.
down there too, and Rembrandt's house is across from the Van Gogh Museum.
There we go.
You know, in our very first fantasy
did go to
pub
both.
table. Oh,
Yes.
Cool.
Yes,
Sorry,
we went to both in one day.
Oh,
I
that's
told you my
awesome.
brain was going to explode.
No, that's okay.
Yes, your very first pub table, you were on it. And
I was. I pulled Vincent.
You pulled Vincent, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was one of my first choices. So.
Yep. So yes,
pretty cool.
he is one of the OG Anselm people. So we absolutely need to give him a respectful mention there. Van Gogh.
Yeah, he has an awesome quote too that if I can find it, I'll read it to you. And I know we're running low on time, so.
Are we? I'm not even halfway through my list.
I guess we'd better scurry our way through our fun.
Okay.
So you know.
Well, these next ones are going to get short shrift. But my next one, while you're looking for that, I think we need some poets here. So some of my poets I think we need to give consideration to are Gerard Manley Hopkins,
Oh, yes.
one of my favorite
I
poets.
almost named him.
Very
absolutely.
Anselmy. I would like to especially give a shout out to God's Grandeur.
Ooh,
Yes.
Yes. Yep.
First line, the world is charged with the grandeur of God.
Yeah.
I think that's a very Anselmy
Yep.
sentiment to have.
I also thought of T.S. Eliot, Four Quartets.
Oh,
yes, yes. We absolutely need to consider T.S. Eliot here.
Well, and then just as a work, Ulysses.
Ooh, how so?
What do you mean, how so?
How is Ulysses Anselmy?
Because it is.
Now,
Because we have recited it at Anselm events, and it just has like that. No, but I mean, it captures the boldness and that we keep. It's a reap-a-cheap kind of poem.
it is, but I don't read Ulysses as doing necessarily the right thing in that poem.
Well, okay, good point. I got carried away.
You're like one of the people who's motivated. He's like, yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, I'm just throwing out great art that I like.
Other poets, other poets I think need consideration. Christina Rossetti.
Of course.
I almost thought of her too.
Yeah, I love
Did
her.
not think of
I
her,
love her.
Christina
I did think of her.
Brownzetti.
Well, no, I'm saying I did think of her.
yeah.
I almost included her, but
Right. That's what I mean.
Yep. So Christina Rossetti, not just because she was, she was Anglo-Catholic, just like me. Hashtag same religion. But also she was born in 1830, so she was alive today. That would make her 193. So that makes her the oldest woman I've ever had a crush on.
oh,
We
there you
also
go.
we
Yeah.
have to say George MacDonald.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Wow, that
absolutely
was
need-
loud. That
we
was
abs-
my other one.
Yay.
Thank you, Mandy. High five.
And Dorothy Sayers, because
Dorothy Sayers is on my
I really
list,
hard
too.
to mention Dorothy Sayers in every podcast. I don't know if anyone's noticed.
I love Dorothy
Nice.
Sayers.
I have
I
not
don't even
noticed.
mean
I
to,
can't
but
believe
she
I haven't
pops up.
noticed that.
I
George
don't do it on
MacDonald.
purpose, but she does. But I know that you love
So-
in
The
Golden
particular.
Key.
Golden
Oh, yeah.
Key.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Did you get? I think it's the Rabbit Room came out with a graphic novel version
I
of it.
saw it. I didn't buy it.
Yeah.
I browsed
How
it
did you
very
not buy
carefully.
It? Such self-control.
I know it was a very challenging. I might
I
ask
have it if
Saint
you wanna
Nicholas.
borrow it.
Saint Nicholas
Okay.
Day, it's coming up. I might ask Saint Nicholas to see if he can stuff it in my stocking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other poets I'd like to mention: Emily Dickinson,
Of course.
and come on, friend of Anselm, Malcolm Guite.
I thought of him too.
I was sitting here and I wrote down Malcolm, and then I was like, "What is his last name?" And I couldn't think of it. And then
Yeah,
I was thinking,
yeah.
So thank you.
His
Wendell-Berry.
sonnets, his
Yes.
Wendell-Berry.
sonnets for the church year. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Wendell-Berry's Sabbath poems.
Yep.
That's also gorgeous.
Oh boy.
All
Okay,
right.
top 500. Like,
No, we can do.
Top 50.
We can
Right?
do this. We can do this.
you're really gonna make us get down to 5?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
But I
Wait.
still had Dostoevsky,
I mean, that's the thing. I think
Francis
we can't.
Schaeffer.
I don't see how we cannot have something by Dostoevsky on the list, right?
know.
Like like Brothers Karamazov.
Yeah.
Maybe we can have Father Zosima, the monk from Brothers Karamazov. Oh gosh.
It's tough.
I think
All right, what
we
do we
need 5 characters, 5 paintings, 5 songs.
Right?
Mandy, you are cheating by we are not going to make this easy on ourselves.
Oh.
These are our top
Yeah.
5. I had to choose for my personal top 5.
Okay.
John Elway or Nikola Jokic. It was hard. I had to really think, but eventually
Right.
I did it.
All right.
So also, are we just overthinking this?
Yes.
We need something by Shakespeare, right? Maybe
Oh,
the
actually,
Tempest?
I could see that. I
Oh,
could
The
see that.
Tempest is my favorite Shakespeare play.
I like some of his
I
sonnets.
think The Tempest might also be the most Anselmy Shakespeare play.
I think it is. Definitely.
Perhaps. I don't know them well enough. I would go to you guys for
Right,
that.
it was probably wasn't it like the last play that he wrote? And it's almost like the one that's close to like an allegory
Yes.
of his role as an artist and a playwright.
think
Yes, it's
so,
the most
and I think it was-
autobiographical.
Yeah, I think it was
Yes.
one of his personal favorites that he wrote.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. All right,
And
so
Bethany played Ariel and was amazing in high school.
And our own Jesse,
Precious.
producer, played Caliban in
Caliban.
the Ansel presentation.
Yes.
Yeah,
and was
Jesse!
fantastic.
Yep.
Very
Jesse!
creepy.
Caliban is, man, you got to go all out to be Caliban.
Jesse does.
sure.
He's good.
I know. That's
he's
what I'm
good.
saying.
All right, I
All
want
right,
to
Matt,
get.
you got to help us narrow it down. We got so many
No,
people
I'm going to
here.
give you more. So I think a couple ancient works need consideration here. I would especially like to present to you the works of Homer and the Beowulf poet.
I knew you were going to say Beowulf.
I love Beowulf.
I love Beowulf too. I was thinking about it when you were talking about Dante because I assigned Beowulf and Dante's.
Have you ever read? I just finished.
I read the Seamus Heaney.
I just finished
Yeah, me too.
rereading it today.
Okay.
Have you ever read Grendel by John Gardner?
I have not, and my
I
fellow English
love it.
teacher Lisa has been telling me to.
I
She likes
love
it
it.
better than Beowulf.
Well,
Wow.
I disagree there, but it's fantastic.
I might have misquoted her.
It's
That might
it's
be
told
wrong.
from the perspective of Grendel.
Grendel, right.
and
I know.
John
Yeah.
Gardner does a really good job catching like the cadence of Anglo-Saxon in it too. It's really good, but it's not on this
I was
list.
such a cool English teacher. I had them write Kennings and Viking boasts,
There
and
we
they had to.
Oh, very good.
They had to come present their Viking boasts.
Oh, that's fun.
Another
I
couple
know, I
one,
am.
guys.
It's fun.
Here's a couple that we've been remiss not to mention.
Oh dear.
These are three. It's kind of embarrassing that
I
I, as
know,
the
it's
man, had to
me,
do
right?
this.
No, I'm just kidding.
Here's three very like all-timer women authors.
I know
Okay,
one of the
wait,
ones you're going to
you
say.
said for you, don't
Dorothy
worry.
Sayers.
I know who you're going
And
to
we-
say.
Jane Austen,
Yes,
That's
of
the one I knew.
course.
Lucy Maud Montgomery, and
Yes.
Flannery O'Connor.
Flannery, how did I not say Flannery?
Okay, I almost said Flannery. Here's
Okay.
the thing, though. So there's a couple things about Anselm. We have to.
I think
we have to make some rules here because even people like Emily Dickinson and Lucy Maud Montgomery, they weren't quite sure how they felt about God.
I was going to say that about Emily.
Yeah.
It's
So-
not really
it's
clear if her
complicated.
faith
It
was
is
there.
complicated.
And then Flannery is, shall we say, problematic since a lot of her letters have been discovered.
She had problems.
She had problems.
She recognized them as problems.
She did recognize them.
But she did have problems.
She did have problems.
But yeah, I mean, but her.
I know.
I
Christ haunted.
yes.
Yes.
Put in mystery and manners.
Mystery and Manners. Have you read her essay about keeping peacocks?
Yes.
Oh my gosh. It's
Okay.
hilarious.
Mystery and manners is going on my short list.
Really?
I will loan Mystery
And then
Manners to
I
you
would
so you
say
can-
the character of Anne Shirley belongs on the short list.
No.
No.
She's too. I love Anne Shirley, but
Whoa.
she's too Pollyanna-ish
Yeah.
to me.
I don't find her as Pollyanna-ish.
Well, we
She's a
both
very
do, so
flawed
We
you're
character.
both
outvoted.
do, so too bad.
Well, I'm the one who mentioned her. You guys are just gonna ignore her.
Weird is out.
I mean, I agree with her about Octobers.
Yeah, right.
And I enjoy reading about her, but I'm not saying I don't like Anne Shirley. That's not the question on the
Yeah,
table.
right.
The question is she Anselm?
She's
Well,
definitely not
I think
top
she
five
is.
material.
I
Definitely not
I
top
thought about
five.
making an impassioned case for, some Jane Austen characters, but I know we live in a world where me and Brian Brown are the two biggest Jane Austen fans in the guild. So
in the world. I would argue.
there's no point in arguing. So
I mean, I know Mr. Collins
Jane,
is not
Jane Austen.
Anne Selby.
Jane Austen, we speak your name. Okay.
So just to assuage your, whatever. I don't know where I'm going with that verb, but I would give Anne Shirley top 100, maybe, but not top 5.
Whoa.
We've said like 100.
Okay.
Dude, I'm with Mandy on this one. Sorry.
Fine. Okay.
Sorry. I hope Amy
why
Lee
have we-
is Amy Lee going to get mad at us?
Ashley Cole's is huge Anna Green
Oh, that's
Gables
true.
fan too.
Oh, is she?
Speaking of which,
I didn't say I'm not an Anna Green Gables fan.
guys,
No.
let's go hyper contemporary. Horses of Fire.
Yes. Yep.
I think that deserves serious
I agree.
consideration here.
Do you know what else for living? We have interviewed her before, and we are going to interview her again in a week. Karen Swallow Pryor is a modern day, current writing about her most recent book is The Evangelical Imagination. She has written editions of Frankenstein, Tess of D'Urberville, Scarlet Letter. She is, I think her reputation is going to outlive her. I think she's
And
a living legend.
once in future friend of the pod. That's
Yes.
right, listeners. Looking ahead. Keep a lookout.
She's
Yeah.
coming again.
But also, just on Horses of Fire, again, Ashley Cole's once and future friend of the pod. retelling of a story of
That was Winston.
the Iliad. From the perspective of 3 women in the story, absolutely fantastic. Very just a quintessential
what were you saying?
example of
I forgot what we
what
were
we're
saying.
shooting for Anselm.
Horses
Oh, it's just
of
me
fire?
defending all these women writers against you two.
Women on ours. I am the Dorsey. You guys are always talking about the Inklings, and I'm trying to talk about Dorothy Sayers, and the only reason she wasn't in the Inklings
Sorry,
was because she was a
I'm too
woman.
busy apologizing to Jane Austen for being kicked out of the club by you two. All right, so there we go. Now we need to take all these and get them down to 5. Okay.
Do we though?
Yeah, I'm going through my short list. And I'm gonna circle 5.
Mister, I'm not doing rules this time.
I can't help myself. I'm sorry.
Okay, Leaf by Niggle, man. It's got to be Leaf by Niggle.
But read us what we have, because you're the one who's been writing down
It's
everything.
like 5,000 of them.
Yeah,
Okay,
there is.
so
Just go through them straight. Just read them all straight.
It's in the
Well-
journal you gave him. The
I
girl,
know. The boss babe.
the boss babe
that's right.
journal.
Right there.
okay.
Love it.
So of course he wrote about Jane Austen. His journal is a boss babe
It's
journal.
the boss babes.
Yeah.
There you go. Oh, that makes sense now.
Okay, so here are my top 5.
And that doesn't help. You need to. We're all okay.
Go
Pass
ahead.
that notebook around.
Well,
Maybe
I was just jotting down short lists as we were going.
Okay. Fine.
Okay, so
I feel controlled.
Leaf by Niggle. Leaf by Niggle. Till We Have Faces.
Yes.
Crap.
Not crap.
Okay, Leaf by Niggle, Till We Have Faces, Piranesi. I want to say Divine Comedy and The Tempest, but that
Okay.
leaves out Dostoevsky.
I agree with
That
your
leaves-
first two.
Okay.
Hands down. Leaf by
Okay.
Niggle and
Okay, so we'll put those safe.
Till We Have Faces, I think, are key because that also takes care of Tolkien and Lewis right there.
Yes.
Yep. Let's not forget though about the Anselm. Sorry, I'm not gonna keep going, Mandy. Keep going.
No, what?
Oh, actually, before we get too far afield, because we're all artists and writers and lovers of all things literature and love and art and stuff, we can't forget we can't play favorites here. We have to go back to the Anselm theme and what plays. Which of these people play into Anselmian vibes more than others?
Okay.
Well, that's why I feel like
So-
Till We Have Faces and Leaf by
And
Niggle.
I agree
true.
with you on there.
Okay,
I was,
so-
I was,
But that's why I'm not
I'm
sure
writing
about-
those down in
Yeah.
pen.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Because I'm with you guys on that
So
one.
for sure on those.
Yeah.
And then,
I think Piranesi belongs on here. I get that it's very contemporary, only a few years old, but I
okay,
want to
defend it as an Anselminess.
Well,
thing.
because it's the concept of, well, first there's the veil between our world and the other worlds.
Okay.
There's the concept that sort of the ideas of this world can have this permanence in the other world.
Okay.
And the narrator's curation of the labyrinth, I
That's
think
right,
is a
the preservation
It is
of-
a perfect Anselmi attitude.
That is true. The preservation of the art and his love for the art.
And I'm
That's
just going to
true.
wite it down
That
in
is
pen
true.
before anyone can stop me.
That's a
Okay.
good point. But see, here's the thing, though. We still have Saint Anselm himself.
That's true.
Yeah, we still have.
Yeah, but we have 2 more spots.
Well, we still have Brian Brown. So I mean,
Okay,
that's
But let's pretend we believe in reincarnation and just say Brian Anselm.
we could do that.
Anselm Brown.
Anselm Brown.
Anselm Brown.
Is Edmund's middle name Anselm? No.
It's not.
Oh,
That's
darn
funny. That'd be
it. That would-
hilarious.
okay, then you need a dog. To
A
name,
dog named Anselm.
to name him Anselm.
Actually, that would be pretty great. That would be great.
Hey, Winston.
Might have to be a cat, but.
Winston, would you answer to Anselm? I wish we need a
The
video
look of
that.
utter contempt.
Yeah, we need to put a picture of that on the show.
Oh, guys.
I also have to
Because-
say, though, I really argue for Heather Longtreader.
That's a fair one.
She's
And I
so-
was about to argue for Diggory / professor.
Yeah,
No,
so
we
we
can't
that's
have
another
two
Lewis
we can't have
thing.
two C.S. Lewis.
You're right.
True.
I think Till We Have
True.
Faces is better. And Piranesi sort of does what the Professor Diggory,
Yep.
don't you think? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that
So
in
gives
some
it.
ways.
So
Others, not
Yeah.
so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Heather Longtreader, she has the interestingness of being a fictional character, a modern character, so today's day and age.
True.
And she is a rabbit, and she is a storyteller. She is one
Okay,
who believes
do we
in
have like the
amending.
generosity sort of feasting sense in there with the list that we have thus
Well-
far?
Right.
Because that is key to Anselm.
It's definitely true.
The feasting, because Till We Have Faces is not very feasty. It's kind of brutal.
Yeah, and that's where the Goldberry came in. The Goldberry and Tom Bombadil is kind of where.
Oh,
the
guys,
end-
you know who we haven't mentioned yet?
Oh no!
Uh-oh.
Marilyn Robinson.
Oh, I do love Marilyn.
You guys were in trouble.
And we need something by Wendell Berry.
Okay,
I
you
know.
I think
His
we need to
Sabbath poems, all of them.
they're so gorgeous. Matthew, you were definitely, biting yourself in the backside here.
You're the
Yeah.
one who said it had to be 5.
Yeah,
This is
and you're
your
adding
fault.
more to our list. We've got to.
You told us we could only have 5, and you are continuing to add.
I know. This is a problem.
So Wendell Berry's Sabbath poems,
Okay.
because those are sort of feasty.
Some of
I
them,
don't-
yeah.
Yeah. I have
Okay.
all of them. I can read them.
Okay.
All on the.
But you guys, oh, there's
Now
And
we also
and
have
Saint-
we,
and
we
you
have
know
four
I'm
we have four
and Brian.
we have 4 literary works here right now though.
yeah. I mean, I like
We need
Rembrandt
some-
Okay,
we
saying,
need some-
I don't know,
Prodigal Son
Prodigal
by Rembrandt.
Son.
Okay, Prodigal.
I love
That's a good one.
Son.
Prodigal
I think it's a
Son.
really good one. Yeah.
And then humbly,
impossible.
I think we should put Saint Anselm himself on the list ahead of Wendell Berry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We love you,
Okay.
Wendell, but you don't listen to podcasts, so it's fine.
He'll never know.
He'll never know.
All right,
You just
so
rewrote Wendell
our top
Berry.
5. Oh wow, thank you.
He crossed out Wendell Berry and rewrote
wrote
Wendell
All
Berry.
right, so our list, our top 5.
I would like the comment section.
This feels pretty definitive. I can't imagine anyone disagreeing with this.
Yeah, I know.
Right. Yeah.
Comment
Right.
section.
All we
is
did is
on
cut
fire.
out Dante, Shakespeare, Jane Austen, Emily Dickinson,
Dostoevsky.
So many people.
Dostoevsky.
George MacDonald.
Yeah.
Christina
Okay.
Rossetti.
Yeah.
All the things.
So we have Leaf by Niggle, Till We Have Faces, Piranesi, St. Anselm of Canterbury, and Rembrandt's Prodigal Son.
You're lucky Piranesi was written by a woman, because otherwise that would have been completely all men.
I'm
We would-
still. I don't know.
I'm
Why
here
did you?
to ride
Why
with
did you
the
say
Susanna
no, Heather
Clark.
Longtreader? I don't know. I'm just saying.
We could put her ahead of literal
She's
St.
5.
Anselm.
She's 5 plus.
Oh, there you go. Well.
She's the alternate, like juries have alternates.
Oh, I have so many alternates.
I know. I didn't even get to
I-
mention Fanny Crosby.
Oh,
I have
Man.
Elizabeth Bennet.
I liked Isaac Watts too, personally.
I do too.
All right, well, there
No,
we go.
not Elizabeth Bennet. Sorry.
What?
Just no.
Elizabeth Bennet's the best.
No,
No.
she's not.
What? I can't even.
She's not Anselmy.
She's not
She is
Anselmy.
extremely Anselmy.
Not
Oh,
even close.
merciful heaven.
No.
She is one of
way.
the greatest characters ever created
That
in the
doesn't
history
mean
of
she's
literature.
Anselmy.
She's one of the greatest characters ever created by one of the greatest authors we've ever had.
Does
Jane
not
Au-
mean she's Anselmy.
I disagree.
Sorry,
I disagree.
Matthew.
Okay. Okay.
no.
Well, just note Elizabeth Bennet, Jane Austen, if you can hear me. She's on my top 5.
Well,
Okay.
I mean, one's dead and the other one never existed, so your chances are pretty slim.
Maybe she's in the Piranesi realm. All right. Well,
She's on a plinth.
so exactly.
That's true. We can make all of our
our-
alternates on plinths.
They're all on
Yes,
plinth.
they're all on plinths.
Yes. All right. Well, listeners, I'm guessing you may have some disagreements. If you do, please reach out to us. And again, I think the best way to reach out to us, if you leave
A 5-star.
if you leave this in the comment, a 5-star recommendation,
Review. Yeah, we don't
we
read.
will absolutely read it.
We're
Like,
not going to read a comment if it's
unless
not
you're
accompanied by a 5-star
if it's super mean, I won't. But otherwise, we will absolutely read your suggestions. So
I didn't
please,
even get to say John Foreman. from
if you want to get
Switchfoot.
on the show, that's the way to do it. And as y'all can probably tell, as we all list a whole bunch of other things we left out, as you can probably tell, things are winding down here at the Anselm Society Digital Pub. The customers are trundling home, the fire's down to embers, and you've polished off your final glass. Believed to See is a podcast of the Anselm Society Arts Guild. Again, rate and review this show on podcast, Spotify, wherever you get, on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I can't even talk anymore because I'm just so offended on Elizabeth Bennet's behalf. Thank you all again for listening, and we will catch you next time.